Rent's up 80%, time to grow up, Dad said at Thanksgiving. For years, I worked 80-hour weeks, kept the family firm afloat, paid their debts. They gifted my sister a new cabin, said, our golden girl deserves it. I didn't flinch. That night, I froze every account and sent one folder. Thanksgiving dinner started out like it always did in my family, with an awkward toast and a side of passive aggression. But this time, the toast wasn't just awkward. It was a punch to the gut. My name's Mark. I'm 36 years old, a data analyst living in Denver. I've spent most of my adult life cleaning up after my family's messes, spreadsheets, unpaid taxes, cosign loans, and all the emotional damage that comes with it. So when I showed up at the ski lodge my parents rented for Thanksgiving this year, I wasn't expecting gratitude. But I wasn't expecting betrayal either. Let's raise a glass to Grace, my dad announced, standing at the head of the oversized pine table. His cheeks were already flushed from the wine. She's always been our golden girl. And now, we're giving her the Winter Park cabin outright. She deserves it. Everyone clapped. Grace beamed. And I just sat there, frozen, like someone had unplugged me from reality. The Winter Park cabin. The second family vacation house. The one I paid property taxes on the past 3 years when Dad forgot. The one I repaired the roof on myself last fall because no one else would handle it. Gone. Handed over like a party favor. You serious? I asked quietly. My mom didn't even look up from her plate. This will help you grow up, Mark, she said, like she was offering me a life lesson instead of a slap in the face. Grow up. That's what she said to the kid who stayed home from prom to help them file bankruptcy forms. That's what she said to the guy who missed his best friend's wedding because Dad had a court date and needed moral support. I glanced at Grace. She avoided eye contact, swirling her Pinot like it was the most interesting thing in the room. She knew. She knew what they were doing, and she let it happen. I didn't say another word for the rest of the meal. I cut my turkey, chewed it slowly, and let the familiar weight of being the family scapegoat settle back onto my shoulders. Everyone else laughed and poured seconds. I just sat there, taking mental notes. Because something in me clicked into place that night. Not bitterness. Not rage. Just a decision. This would be the last time they dismissed me like this. The last time I paid the bill while being told I hadn't earned my seat. Later that night, I sat in my car outside the ski lodge. The engine was off, the heat long gone. My breath fogged up the windshield, but I didn't wipe it away. I just sat there, hands trembling slightly against the steering wheel, watching the soft glow of the windows above where my family was still laughing, drinking, probably toasting Grace for the third time. They had no idea what I was about to do. I reached into the center console and pulled out my laptop. It booted up fast, the fan humming as the screen came alive. This folder, the one I'd labeled family_assets_not touch, had been waiting there for months. I'd started it out of frustration, then added to it out of habit. But tonight, it became a weapon. Inside were PDFs of tax documents, the ones I had filed for my parents when their accountant bailed. Screenshots of past due notices they'd ignored. Venmo logs of money sent to Grace for groceries that coincided with her Instagram photos from Cozumel. Audio clips too, short, clipped voice memos from my mom calling me selfish, from my dad telling me to man up when I'd asked them to start paying their own damn phone bill. A full audit trail of every time they leaned on me while telling me I hadn't done enough. I double-checked the files. Then I logged into every account I was still connected to, joint credit lines, savings accounts. Even that shadowy business PayPal tied to the LLC Dad swore was just for equipment rentals. One by one, I froze them, locked them down with multi-factor authentication, removed myself where I could, and flagged them for review where I couldn't. Then came the email. I drafted it simply. Subject line, for your records. Recipients, my mom, my dad, Grace. I attached the folder, zipped and labeled cleanly. In the body, I wrote, I've carried this family long enough. Consider this my final contribution. You'll find everything you've asked of me in the past 10 years, and everything I was stupid enough to give. Going forward, manage your own finances. Manage your own lives. Good luck. Mark. I hovered over the send button for maybe 3 seconds. Then I clicked it. The message flew off into the ether. I shut the laptop slowly. The silence in the car was deafening, but for the first time in years, it didn't bother me. They wanted to treat me like an outsider? Fine. I'd show them what an outsider with receipts could do. By Monday morning, the silence was gone. My phone lit up before I'd even gotten out of bed. Texts, missed calls, voicemails. My dad was first. Mark, what the hell is this? You're destroying us. Then my mom. We need to talk. You're being unreasonable. Please don't do anything rash. Her next message, sent 5 minutes later, was less gentle. I can't believe you'd stoop this low. After everything we've done for you. Grace didn't text. She posted. A black and white selfie of her in the passenger seat of her Lexus, eyes misty, captioned, When your own brother tries to ruin your life over a cabin, some people never grow up. #family is everything. Right. The comments flooded in, friends offering support, distant cousins asking what happened, and one of her yoga pals telling her to stay strong, queen. No one tagged me, of course. That would have ruined the illusion that I was some bitter, unstable shadow trying to bring down her perfect life from the sidelines. But I didn't bite. I didn't reply to the messages. Didn't call them back. Didn't like or comment on Grace's sad little PR campaign. I just watched. They were spinning, scrambling, trying to salvage the narrative. And for once, I wasn't the one rushing in with a mop and a checkbook. I went to work like nothing happened. Answered emails. Ate lunch alone. That afternoon, I muted the family group chat entirely, not that anyone was using it. Too public. Too traceable. By Tuesday, my dad left me a voicemail that ended with, "This isn't how family treats each other." I almost laughed out loud. Really? Because giving away a shared asset behind someone's back, that's family? Dismissing me like a child because I refused to celebrate it, that's family? No. That's dysfunction. That's control. That's the system they built. And I was done patching their cracks. Let them sit in the mess for once. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt still. And that was enough. By Wednesday, things escalated, just not in the direction they expected. I got a call from an old coworker who sounded weirdly hesitant. "Hey, just wanted to give you a heads up. There's a rumor floating around. Someone's saying you stole money from the family business. Something about packaging supplies and hidden invoices." I knew exactly where that came from. My father. Years ago, when his small-town packaging firm was circling the drain, I stepped in. I'd cleaned up the books, streamlined their supplier chain, and even covered payroll a few months so they wouldn't miss orders. I never charged a dime. Never took a cut. I was family, and back then, I still believed that meant something. Now, they were using that same goodwill to smear me. That night, I opened LinkedIn. Not to scroll, to post. There's been some noise lately about my involvement with a family-owned packaging firm based in Colorado. I want to clear the air. I provided unpaid consulting, logistics support, and financial restructuring to that business over the course of 4 years, documented fully with invoices, emails, and bank statements. I've attached a timeline below, along with proof of payment gaps, tax filings, and system upgrades I implemented personally. I've never taken a salary, never held equity, never even asked for repayment. I did it because I thought that's what you do for family. If anyone wants to question my integrity, I'm right here. I don't hide. Mark Thorne, data analyst, logistics consultant, proudly independent. I attached screenshots, lightly redacted for privacy, but clear enough to back every word. Emails thanking me. Vendor receipts. My final ledger showing a net personal loss of just over 12 grand. Then I hit post. Didn't think much of it at first. Went to bed. Woke up to over 600 reactions, 85 comments, and 4 messages in my inbox from logistics managers and consultants around the country. Loved your clarity. We've had similar situations in family-run operations. Can we set up a time to talk? Looking for freelance help on a warehousing overhaul. This is the kind of transparency we need in this industry. Respect. By the end of the week, 2 former clients offered me short-term contracts. One of them asked if I was open to longer consulting work. So, while my family flailed around in their group chats and gossip circles, I did what I've always done, turned damage into data. Let them talk. I had receipts, and now, a waiting list. The call came on a Friday afternoon, just as I was finishing up a meeting. It was from the fraud alert division of my bank. "Hi, Mr. Thorne. We just need to confirm, did you authorize a business loan application last month through Cornerstone Credit Union?" I blinked. "No, I haven't applied for any loans in over a year." There was a pause on the other end. Then, more carefully, "We have a request submitted under your name. It includes your SSN, date of birth, and ties to a small business listed as Thorne Packaging Solutions, LLC. You're listed as the principal and guarantor. Thorne Packaging." I didn't even have to ask. I knew who did it. After I hung up, I went straight to my home office. Pulled up my files. The LLC name wasn't familiar to me, but a search through Colorado's business registry confirmed it was filed 2 years ago by my dad. My name was listed as co-owner. The signature on the form was mine. Or, well, a bad copy of it. They hadn't even bothered to get creative. I dug into the application. Sure enough, Dad had applied for a $75,000 line of credit using my identity, leveraging my credit score, my income bracket, and listing himself as a partner. The address was their old P.O. box. The contact email? An AOL account I hadn't used since high school. That was it. That was the line. I forwarded everything to an old client of mine, Nate Castillo, a quiet, relentless contracts attorney I'd helped with a supply chain overhaul last year. He called me back that night. "Do you want to go nuclear?" he asked, no hesitation. "Just enough to scorch the earth," I replied. He laughed. "Got it." Within 48 hours, the application was frozen. A fraud investigation was launched. Credit alerts were pushed through every bureau, and my father's accounts, tied to the bogus LLC, were flagged. By Tuesday morning, he called me. I didn't answer. My mother texted, "Your father is in a state. He says his credit score dropped by 220 points overnight. This is cruel, Mark. Just talk to us." But I didn't. Because here's the thing, they used my name to build a trap. All I did was cut the rope. No drama. No arguments. Just paperwork, filed properly. Let them drown in their own signatures. The Lexus was the last loose thread. It had started out as a favor, like everything else. Grace couldn't get financing without a cosigner, just until I build more credit, she'd said, smiling the practiced smile of hers. At the time, I'd still believed the family would pay it off like they promised. I didn't ask too many questions. But now, I asked questions. I dug through my insurance app, pulled the VIN, and confirmed what I suspected. The car was still in my name. Technically, it was mine. She hadn't made a payment in 6 months. The car was leased under my credit, insured through my policy, and registered to her address, illegally. I made a quiet call to the dealership. Asked about reclaiming a vehicle under name and insurance ownership. "Bring proof of title and ID," the guy said. "We'll handle the rest." That weekend, I drove to her apartment. The Lexus was parked out front, glittering in the sun like a trophy. I took a photo, then walked to the leasing office and asked to have it towed for repossession. Legal, authorized, signed. No yelling, no warning. The tow truck showed up an hour later. The guy grinned when I handed him the keys. "Family car? Huh?" "Used to be," I said. I didn't stick around for the fallout. I didn't need to. Grace's reaction came the way all her tantrums did online. A filtered selfie, eyes glossy, no makeup. The caption read, "Heartbroken. Betrayed by someone I trusted most. Some people never change." Comments poured in. "What happened? Stay strong, girl. You deserve better." She never mentioned the Lexus. Never mentioned the fact that she hadn't paid a dime on it in nearly a year. Never mentioned that I owned the title, or that I'd warned her 3 times in writing. But I didn't reply. Not even a subtle like. Because it wasn't about proving anything anymore. It was about finishing the cleanup. I sold the car a week later, used the money to pay off some old personal debts I'd been ignoring. The rest went into a new savings account under a new LLC. Not to escape. Not to run. To build. For the first time, I wasn't patching holes for someone else. I was building something just for me. It was Grace who suggested the dinner. Neutral ground, she called it. A quiet restaurant in Boulder, halfway between her apartment and the place our parents were crashing after their credit disaster. Just a conversation, she'd said. No drama. I picked the restaurant. No drama meant a place with real linen napkins and a maitre d' who wouldn't hesitate to call security if things got heated. It was small, quiet, respectable. The kind of place that made people lower their voices, even when they were furious. They were already seated when I walked in. My mother gave me that trembling smile she always used when she was trying to appear fragile. My father didn't look at me at all. And Grace, predictably, had already ordered wine. I pulled up my chair and sat down like I was walking into a client meeting, composed, focused, ready. "Mark," my mother started, "this has all gotten so out of hand." "Has it?" I said, placing a thick manila envelope on the table. "Because I think it's finally in hand." My father scowled. "What the hell is that?" "Evidence," I said. "Of everything." I opened the envelope slowly. Inside were copies of forged loan applications, falsified signatures, screenshots of text messages with dates and timestamps. On top, I laid out a copy of the trust document Grandpa left, the one no one knew I still had. "I know you all thought it didn't exist anymore. But Grandpa didn't trust you. Not even a little. He left the trust in my name, not Grace's. He knew." My mother's eyes welled up, but I didn't stop. Next came the bank's fraud summary, signed by their legal team. Then the title to the Lexus, the insurance claim filed under my name. Grace's jaw clenched. She still hadn't touched her wine. "I'm not here for an apology," I said. "I'm here to let you know that this ends tonight." Then, like clockwork, the last piece walked in. Tyler, Grace's ex-boyfriend. She went pale the second she saw him. He walked straight to our table, pulled out a chair, and sat down across from her without a word. I nodded to him, then turned to the rest of them. "Tyler has something to say." "I didn't want to get involved," Tyler began, voice calm, eyes locked on Grace. "But I'm tired of being used to make him look bad." He pulled out his phone and laid it flat on the table. "Grace told people Mark was emotionally abusive. She said he stole from her. She asked me to post things online to support her story. I didn't, but I saved the messages." He slid the phone across to my parents. There, in plain text, were months of manipulative messages. Grace plotting how to twist the narrative. Grace gloating about using me. Grace mocking them, too. "I'm not proud of being involved," Tyler said. "But I'm done lying." My mother looked sick. My father looked broken. And Grace? She just sat there, cheeks flaming, eyes wet, but not with regret. with rage. I never thought you'd go this far, she hissed. No, I said, standing up. You never thought I'd go anywhere. But I did. And with that, I left them at the table, surrounded by linen napkins, unpaid wine, in the ruins of their own delusions. I didn't slam the door behind me when I walked out of that restaurant. I didn't raise my voice, didn't look back to see if they followed. I just stepped into the cool night air, tucked my hands in my coat pockets, and let the silence wrap around me like something earned. The next morning, I made it official. I went to the bank first, revoked every remaining joint account, removed myself as secondary on every credit card, flagged all automatic payments linked to their names. The manager gave me a small nod when she saw the folder I brought. You're the third person this week to cut off family, she said with a tired smile. People are waking up. After that, I filed the withdrawal paperwork from the packaging business, officially severing ties. No more silent liability. No more dragging their mess behind me like a broken trailer. I left copies of the paperwork with my lawyer, just in case they tried to spin it later. I checked my credit score that afternoon, already climbing back up. I stared at the screen for a long time, watching the numbers like they meant something. Maybe they didn't, but still, they felt like proof. By the end of the week, I'd moved into a new studio apartment on the edge of downtown. Nothing flashy. Just clean, simple, mine. No more childhood house keys hanging by the door. No more envelopes in the mail with my father's name attached. I bought a brass plaque from a local engraving shop, small, palm-sized. On it, I had 5 words carved. Not your house. Not your son. I didn't hang it on a wall. I didn't leave it out where anyone could see. I slipped it into a drawer next to my spare keys and kept it there like a quiet monument. A reminder. Not out of spite. Not even out of pain. Just clarity. There were no dramatic phone calls after that. No letters. Grace stopped posting her vague, sad little captions. My parents, for once, didn't reach out to fix things. Maybe they knew it was over. Maybe they didn't believe I'd stick to it. Either way, I did. I woke up early now, just because I could. I cooked breakfast without checking my email for requests or complaints. My days were mine. My silence was mine. I didn't hate them. I just didn't owe them anything anymore. And for the first time in my life, that felt like peace. 6 months later, I launched the business. It started as a joke. Honestly, a sarcastic name on a napkin during coffee with a former client. You've always been the golden boy, they'd said, mocking the nickname my parents used when praising Grace. You just never got the crown. So I took it. Golden Boy Strategies. A consulting firm for logistics, data restructuring, and operational triage built from the ruins of everything I did for free for my family. Now repackaged for companies that actually valued it. No drama. Just results. I kept the office small. Just me, a shared workspace, and a converted loft, and a growing list of referrals. Clients rolled in faster than I expected, business owners who'd seen my LinkedIn post, people from my old corporate network, folks who'd read between the lines of my very public fallout and said, that guy doesn't blink. I wasn't trying to go viral. I was trying to survive. But survival turned into momentum. And momentum turned into something better. I decorated the office slowly. A frame project timeline from my first major solo client. A photo of the Colorado mountains. And on the shelf, next to my credentials, I placed the old personal check my grandfather had written me the year before he died, the only family member who ever said, I believe in you, without strings. He'd left me a note with it, scribbled in shaky pen. You don't need their permission. Just build the thing. I kept the check framed in glass. Not for the money, it wasn't even cashed. Just the handwriting. The truth of it. I don't think about my family much anymore. I don't check Grace's posts. I don't read their passive-aggressive voicemails. I don't stalk the Zillow page where the Winter Park cabin finally went up for sale. I've stopped replaying the Thanksgiving toast in my head. These days, I sleep with both eyes closed. I wake up when I want. And when people call me Golden Boy, I let them, because now it's mine. Not theirs. Not a taunt. Not a label. A brand. And behind that brand is something they never expected me to find. Freedom. Quiet. Peace. And absolutely no need to ever look back.